Yeah, I'll just give you a little bit of background on me. So, I come from a Romany gypsy family. My dad left when I was quite young. My mum brought me, my two sisters and my brother up on her own. She's done the best she could. And I wouldn't say I've had a bad upbringing. I had a quite good upbringing. I had whatever I wanted. My mum covered various jobs to provide for us. And at an early age, I took interest in snooker. I was quite good at it. Probably could have been a professional if I kept at it. Where I'm from, which is Tooting, South London, a professional snooker player who's quite famous over here, Jimmy White, was regular in that snooker hall. And so he was my idol, and growing up watching him play and watching the stuff he does, back then cocaine and smoking in snooker halls was a big thing, so I grew up watching that. And that's where at about 15, 16, that's where I first started dabbling with cocaine, but it didn't really do nothing to me, but I've kind of just done it to fit in. And then, obviously being a gypsy, we kind of marry young, so I got married young. I think I was just 17, nearly turning 18, I got married. Had a beautiful child. Then had another child, a little boy. Brought him up for about 4 years and then found out my wife had an affair. The child wasn't mine. And that made me go back to drugs. Because that was my blanket. I'd been to prison beforehand, before this happened, when I was playing snooker before. As being a gypsy, we learned to grow up quicker than what we should. So I was always driving at like the age of 12, 13. I think I lost my licence before I was even old enough to apply for it. So the first time I went to prison was for driving, whilst driving on a band, even though I never had a licence to have a band. And that's where I was first introduced to heroin. And yeah, heroin it took my problems away. Every time I'd think of the baby or my wife's situation, that just comforted me and kept me warm. And that's where I was always at. So I've spent half of my life, I'm 37 now, so from the age of 16 I've been in and out of prison. I don't think I've been out longer than 6 months. And I've been on heroin and other various drugs for about the same time as well. So when I arrived at HMP Only, I was in quite a bad place. And I arrived there with my brother Leonard, who is my co-defendant on the crime that I was in for. And the prison that I was in previous, before I went to Only, me and my brother had just got a parcel of drugs in through flying it on a drone. We flew it over the wall and got a parcel of drugs, and I was taking drugs on the van drive to Only, so that's what kind of place I was at. And me and my brother was on the same wing together. Actually, we was next door. And and I was just dabbling with drugs, and I was in quite a pretty low place. I was working in the gardens, and there was another gypsy fella there who I've never met him before. I don't know him. Most gypsies know each other or are married into the families. I kind of knew people that he knows, but I didn't know him. And he always used to walk around this prison with a Bible in his hand. He was always going on about the Bible, and I used to, Bible bash, I keep away from him. And then one day he just come up to me and he just said, "Bang, you need God in your life, take that Bible." And I just thought, yeah, whatever, mate, took it, and I threw it on the side. But one night I was really struggling, and I was thinking old thoughts, and I was struggling with I just didn't want drugs. I knew I didn't want drugs in my life, I just didn't know how to stop, because of obviously the comfort that it gave me. And I just opened this page, and on the front page, I'll never forget it, it just said, "Dear Alfie, no matter where you are in life, or whatever trouble you're in, this is my phone number. Ring me anytime you want anything, and I'll come and collect you, I'll look after you." And I just thought, wow, like, he doesn't know me, but he sees past that, the drugs, he sees all past that and sees me for me, so there must be something in this. So that night, I got down on my knees in front of my bed and I prayed to God. I said, God, please, like, help me. If you are real, show me something, help me. And bang! Nothing happened, but... but that very next morning, I woke up, you know, I forgot about the prayer the night before and all that, and I walked out into the landing, and standing over in the corner of this big noisy wing where people are running up and down doing all sorts, there just stood this big smiling lady standing at the door just greeting people, and I was like, oh, what's she up to? So as you do when you're in jail, you just go over and inspect. And so I was like, oh, miss, what do you do? Furthermore, who are you? She said, oh, I'm Jacqueline. So what do you do? She explained about beyond recovery. And I just heard the recovery bit. So obviously drugs, I just said, yeah, put me down for that, please. So she said, yeah, what's your name? I said, well, Alfie Chambers. And she said, oh, you're in my group today. I was like, oh yeah? So we went in and they started talking, and if I'm honest, I was like, what are these hippies going on about? All this love, peace and all that, and I just thought, like, this seems a little bit like a cult, but something inside me just said, no, just stick at this, there's something in it, there's something in what I say. So I kept going, came back with myself at night thinking, I want that, I want what they got, I want what all the Beyond Recovery team have got, they're always smiling, I just want that. And I kept trying to figure things out, going back what we'd learned about, and I kept trying to figure things out. Then one day, we was off the wing, so in the prison there's the back of like the healthcare department, there's some other little quieter rooms, and it's off the wing. And we was down there. And my brother was on another course at the time, and but his course got cancelled for whatever reason, and he said to Jacqueline, oh, can I come in? And Jacqueline, me and Jacqueline, she said, of course you can, come in. So he didn't really want to be there, he was just getting off the wing, he didn't want to be banged up. And he was just sitting there, and Jacqueline was showing the river of thought on how thoughts just flow by, and we just grab them and adopt them. And my brother, he started talking about the crime, what we're in for. And as he was talking about it, he was like, yeah, and my brother done this, and I done it, and he started elevating out of his seat, and I could see, oh, he actually now wants to be in the room now, he's talking about that. And the more he spoke about it, I had to stop and say, wow, like, I wasn't going through none of that, what you're explaining. I was actually grabbing myself when we was doing the crime. And you see, I knew that we all think, I knew that, but I didn't know about separate reality, so I just assumed that there was something wrong with me for the way I was feeling, because as gypsies we're brought up to respect our elders and always do as they said, so I felt that I made a story in my head that I have to go along with him, and I thought there was something wrong with me by thinking that I don't want to do this, because I didn't know about separate realities. And that was my first little insight into thought and separate realities. And then, funny enough, going back that day from that room, my brother was still, it must have been the talk about his crime, he was still hyped up. And he was like, right, bruv, pack your kit. That's all your belongings and that. Me and you're going down the block, we're getting off this wing, we don't like this prison, and we've had enough. And I was like, whoa. I actually like it here. Separate realities. And you know, I've made this story up all my life that I can't say no to it, because he's my older brother, we're gypsies. And I went back to that room and I thought, you know what, no, I like it. And I said, so I built the courage up and I said, you know what, Len? I'm not going, you go. And he was like, all right, bruv, see you later. And he walked off. No, wait, come back. That's not how it's meant to happen. You're meant to have a go at me. And that baffled me. I was like, what? So, like I said, we was next door to each other. And in prison, the cells, well, the walls are just like a curtain. You can hear everything. Even to the point of breathing, you can hear in the next cell. So he bangs up. I bang up, I can hear him and his mate went in the cell to barricade, which is they just throw all the cupboards up the door so officers can't get in. and that increases your chances of getting shipped out quicker. So, which is, it's crazy, isn't it? But there are ways of getting out of a prison if you really want to. So he was barricading. And I was sitting on the bed and I was still thinking about the see you later, bruv bit. I was like, that shouldn't have went like that. 20 years of saying yes to him and all I had to do was say no. And then, so I can hear him laughing and joking and I'm still thinking about this yes thing. And then this feeling of loneliness just come over me like I've never, even to the point of when my wife left, I've never felt this loneliness. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? He's going. And then, as quick as it come, I was like, how possibly can you be lonely? He's still next door, he hasn't gone nowhere. Look, he's laughing, he don't even know you're in here sitting thinking about you lonely. He's doing what he's doing. And I was like, yeah, of course, because I'm just having lonely thinking. If I think I'm lonely, I'm going to experience loneliness. And for me, that was where I thought my big change was, but once again, it hit me in another way. So I started, as Aaron said, curious, and I started playing with it a little bit, and I was thinking, well, so I have 20 years of telling my brother yes, yes, and I made that story up. I must be making other stories up as well. So I played with that with my drug use, because I was thinking, well, I must be doing that around drugs as well. And I just stopped drugs, I just stopped. And I was floating on all these groups we was doing, I was getting this feeling, and I was on a high level of consciousness, and everything was going great. Doors started opening for me. I got offered a job with the drug support team in Onley. I was their red band, which means I was a trustee. I didn't need a kick, like I could just ask to screw an officer. Old habits. I asked an officer to open the door and I could just walk out. So I had a lot of things, and things was going great. And I got my DCAT, which is progression to open conditions, where I'm actually at now. And things was going good, and then I got accused of something that I didn't do because of my old record. Because of I had previous of getting drugs into prison and everything. A quantity of drugs and mobile phones was found on the wing, and I got accused for it. I got took off of the enhanced wing, which in itself is like going from a backstreet hotel to an upgraded 5-star hotel in prison terms anyway. And I got took back over to the rough part, lost my category D, and I went back to them hurt feelings that I had, and the disappointment, and the only way I knew how to deal with it, which was drugs. And I took some MDMA that night, which is ecstasy, pure ecstasy, and something crazy happened that's never happened before. I never got no relief. I was still feeling exactly the same as I did when I took the drugs. And I was like, what's this nonsense? I'm meant to get relief from this. And I think that was because of I knew deep down that drugs don't give me relief. What the ecstasy did do, I suppose, was it gave me a 3D image of the circle of addiction in my cell. I was like, oh yeah, of course, this is this. And I was seeing it clearly. I was like, of course I don't get relief. I just go round and it goes round and round. And for me, that was one of my big insights around drugs, that I see that. Obviously, drugs alter the mind, of course, I'm not saying that, but the relief can only come from us, can only come from me. And for me, that changed everything. And then I was lucky enough to do the practitioner course with Jacqueline, and I run my own group, me and David, another inmate. And that group for me was just where everything changed for me. I had insight after insight. And once again, I'm going to try and explain my insight. I still try to explain it because it's profound to me. I still don't know how to. But the big thing that changed for me was I see love for what it was. I see the real connection of love. I see this resilience in us that is we can all tap into. And so I see that good and bad are not two separate things. So I see good and bad are not two separate powers trying to fight against each other. There is only one, which is good. And what I see was that, so I explained, you can do a good act, a kind action, a good action, when you're not really feeling too kind, when you're really feeling crap, you can still do a kind action. And you will get nothing from that. No pleasure, no nothing. But you can't do a bad action for the mere sake of being bad. You get something from it, whether it be pleasure, money, power, or whatever it is. And I see that, so I see that the bad is a spoiled goodness. You're just spoiling the goodness to get the bad thing. You have to have good things for you then to turn them into a bad action in how you perceive them. But for me, that changed everything, because I see that wickedness, evil, good is only a parasite. It's not a true thing. Real goodness is a real thing. When we come out of our personal thinking and tap into our true self, you can only drop one way, and that one way is love, connection. You can't drop, you don't go, oh, what way am I going to fall? You just, when you stop your personal thinking, you can only go into that pure love and that feeling of connection, compassion, and for me that changed everything, because of I didn't look at the person. What I used to do a lot, because I would judge them, you're not wearing this, you're not wearing that. I see the person, the soul, I see that love, that connection, that true resilience that we got, and then everything else fell away from me, because of, then I see that that's sustainable, that's what keeps us happy, fresh. Money doesn't, all them things are just man-made material things that are not sustainable. But if we can tap into that, that's sustainable. Money and all the other stuff isn't. And for me, that was a game changer. That was where I'm at. To where I'm at now, I'm still in prison, I'm in open conditions. I'm working in a charity shop in Derbyshire, working with the homeless, with ex-addicts, just giving them support, walking around, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. I love the conversations I have with people there, and I love the connection that you get. And I never finished telling you, Gary, the story, but I'm going to tell you, because I think it's so there's this lady that comes in the shop, and it's like what Sid says about the mental health. Everybody's got that one fault, yeah? So she comes in, and she's got 4 different personalities. She's in a mental hospital. She's only allowed out for half hour a day, but she comes into this drop-in centre to just sit, and she does art. But yet, when she's doing her art, and an amazing art it is, she does portraits, she comes out of all that. And the conversations I have with her are amazing. She used to be a teacher, and we have this connection that is not the mental hospital. It's just true love, true connection. And to me, that just proves that the goodness is always, the resilience that we have is unbelievable. And when we put labels on things, that she's getting told she's this, she's that, when she comes into that drop-in centre, no one's putting no labels on her. She comes out of that, and she drops only the one way that we all can drop, is love.